Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious. I wanted to dash off a quick video about a question I get pretty often from job seekers who are in the mix. They're racking up some interviews, they're having that experience, and a common theme seems to be popping up. They keep getting asked questions that leave them thinking that the employer considers them to be a job hopper. And I know that's a bad word, right? That is like as close to a curse word as exists in the hiring sphere, right? Job hopper, right? So I want to go through that, and I want to give you a couple of strategies that you can use right now to help quell that and sort of redirect that and keep it from being a concern. And by the way, please keep in mind, whether you've had a bunch of short-term jobs or not, this specter can rear its head almost any time for almost anywhere. You know, because you could be talking with a hiring manager who considers any stint less than 5 years to be job hopping, essentially, right? Especially if you're up there in terms of seniority level. So you need to be prepared about this one way or the other, no matter where you are. So let's quickly go through why it's such a big deal and why employers tend to freak out about it, okay? Let's talk really honestly here about this. So what are the major fear points? Number one, right? They think you're an underperformer. They think that the reason you've had a bunch of jobs is that your performance is just consistently low, and at some point you just get booted out. That's their number one fear. That's why they're bringing up the job hopping questions. The other one is they're worried about your culture fit, how you get along with others, you know, when you're not putting on the shiny face. And we always do this, right? When you're in an interview, you're getting like the first date version of yourself. You know, it's perfect. It's just outstanding. You know, it's everything that you want, right? But they want to know the truth. And maybe they're thinking that you're just really difficult to work with. You know, there are nightmare people out there. There are people who they can't get out of their own heads and they make life miserable for themselves. You can't really blame an employer for being concerned about that, you know? I've hired people and I'm concerned about that. So that's another one. So these are their major fears. How do you counter it? Number one, don't ever try to duck and weave. I know that there's a lot of advice out there on the internet giving you all sorts of supposed ninja moves to answer the question without answering the question. Please don't do that, okay? It takes someone on the internet next to no energy to pump out an article with some false information and get some views and get some clicks and what have you. But it's another thing entirely to actually use that and bring that into the interview room. You know, there is a big difference between what is out there and what they think is right for you to do and what is actually going to work and is safe and is proven to work in the interview room. And so the first question is, I want you to dump your fancy non-answers out the window, okay? This is not a time to do this. You're going to get crushed if they're seriously concerned about it. And they wouldn't be, it's not a nothing question to be asked, supposed job hopping questions. It usually, there is a basis there. No one is asking for that stuff without having anything to go on. So, number one, transparency is the order of the day. Being honest is the order of the day. Now, what you're honest about is where the strategy comes in, okay? Number one, you can frame the answer from a point of view of wanting better quality work, wanting better scope of work, wanting to be involved on the front lines, wanting to make more of an impact. Growth is the big, great direction that you can use to answer job hopping questions. In other words, I had a great time working at Amazon, Apple, or whatever company there is. It was a wonderful challenge, but after about year two, things sort of plateaued there, and I still feel hungry to move forward. I still feel hungry to take it to another level. I also recently worked with a client. She handles product management for tech companies, and her last job, she was doing a startling job with this new product line that was targeting commercial targeting the residential audience, but the problem was that product line accounted for less than 3% of the company's total revenues, right? So no matter how great of a job she did, it was always going to be treated as like a hobby project by the company. So she really felt like she wasn't making enough of an impact. And so that's a very, very clear, understandable response to a short-term stint at a company. You know, to want to grow is something everyone gets. You're not going to get any points dinged from it. So if you can frame the reasoning behind some of your short-term positions, and if there's one, it's easy, you just need one good reason. If it's multiple, you need to think in terms of what's the through line here. You need to present that through line, not them, because they're always going to assume the worst. Growth, quality of work, wanting to make more of an impact is a great way to structure that. You know, that wins in most cases. The other one, okay, externalities. So, you know, if you were doing great work at a company and the company got bought out or your division was made redundant or any manner of external changes happened, that's an out. You don't even have to explain it really past that. You could literally say, this company was bought out, that division was no longer a priority, so I had to make the difficult decision to leave. Boom. Keep it short. In that one, if you're talking about an external circumstance, a shorter reason for why you left a job is always better than a longer one. The more you explain, the less credible it seems. So when we're talking about leaving because of growth and wanting to contribute more, by all means, extend the answer out a little bit. But if it's an external thing, you need to keep it short, like a line or two. Otherwise, it's going to cause more it's going to cause more follow-ups, and that's what you don't want, right? Finally, last one. Okay, it's simple, but I want to put it out there. I want to give you as many options as you can to address this successfully in your life and in your career. Location move. Very simple, right? I was working in El Paso. My family is located in upstate New York. That's why I'm looking for positions that are based in upstate New York. Simple, easy. You can absolutely do that. And I will say, because, you know, I'm not a recruiter and I'm not an HR guy, and I just want you to succeed, between you and me, a little ninja move here. We're talking about positive ways to address job hopping and all of that, but if you really had a nightmare situation, like a tear the barn down negative situation at a company, you know, if you're at a point in your life where you can make a location move, that is a way to shut down that line of questioning. You know, if you know things have gotten really nasty at your former employer and you're worried about, for example, checking references and bad rep and all that other stuff, the nuclear option you always have is to change location, because the minute you start looking for a position in another region, now you have a very easy response as to why are you leaving, you know, your current role. Well, I need to leave, you know, here because I want to put down roots in this location, right? So it can be a way to shut things down if you have no other recourse, you know, if you know that it's just a really, really bad situation there. Otherwise, use the other two tips that I'm giving you here, which is number one, try to frame the answer as an opportunity for growth. In other words, I'm job hopping, or my last couple of jobs were shorter because I was looking to make more impact, more work, you know, greater scope there. And if you've got it, it's your get out of jail free pass here. Blame it on an externality. You know, my division was made redundant, or the company got bought out, or some other, you know, external industry change happened, and now I am where I am, right? Otherwise, pull the nuclear option, you know, think about a location change, you know. I'm just trying to be honest with you because I have seen people try to ignore the job hopping moniker and say, okay, well, you know, that's just the line of questioning I had at this company, doesn't mean it's going to happen at the next one. And that's very true. But a lot of times, honestly, it's not the end of it. You know, that problem, if they're seeing something in your resume or in your work history that makes them think this, then you got to proactively run ahead of this thing, figure out what the best answer is, practice the answer, rehearse the answer. That's my acting background coming in. You know, the harder the questions are, the more I'm going to be prepared to, so that when I come in, I'm not straining for an answer. You know, if you're straining to create an answer in the interview, it's too late, usually. It's really hard to pull it off at that point. So I hope that these tips have been helpful. Please know, these are coming from a guy who used to be a journalist, and an author, and an actor, you know, a film and TV actor. So you have a friend who has lived many lives. And I love people who have lived many lives. I love people who've hopped through jobs. By the way, when I was entering the workforce, I have a stream, like double-digit jobs that I have held for 1 day or less. That's how long it took me. So I promise you, you can bounce back from anything and you can make anything a part of your story, given a little bit of runway and a little bit of making the right moves. So please know that it's an innately solvable problem. Wishing you the best of luck. Keep hustling, keep going for that next step, and drop me a comment. Let me know what you're struggling with. Let me know what problem you're facing. Let me know if you face this job hopping stigma in the interview. I'd love to know, and if I can help and advise, I certainly will. Have a wonderful day, guys. Keep hustling, keep going for a better life and a better career, and know that you have a friend in me. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys soon. If you like that video, I encourage you to hit subscribe to get other expert tips and strategies that will take your career further.